Hello, I'm Jessica Keeney. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I just got started, and today I'm going to show you how to make this 3D card. So I wanted this one to fit into an A2 envelope, but I kind of messed it up. This one doesn't fit into an A2 envelope, but I'm going to show you how to make one that will fit into an A7 envelope. So our project is going to end up being 5x7 when it's squished flat. I could make this fit into an A2 envelope, but I don't want to sacrifice that much space, and I think that the 5x7 will be excellent. So for this, I'm going to use the Mountain Air stamp set and the Majestic Mountain dies, and the little hunter down here with the dog, whoop, down here, the hunter, the dog, the pheasants. We're getting some glare off the lights. That is not a Stampin' Up! Set. I looked to find something similar in Stampin' Up!, but I didn't find it. That was just something I had on hand. You can use anything you want in that corner. And actually, I think I'm going to do something with the Campology set. So you can't see that very well. I think that I'm going to put probably a tent down in that corner. So I will, yeah, I'll show you how to do it with a tent down in the corner. I will also show you how to do it with something like that little hunter down in the corner, just in case you happen to have something similar. So I'm going to have links down in the description. If you want to buy stuff from Stampin' Up!, well then follow the links and please choose me as your demonstrator, because then I will get money from your order and I can make more videos for you. And I know you probably have a demonstrator. If you do, that's fine. I understand loyalty. Loyalty's good. I hope you enjoy my videos anyway. Tell your friends about them. And I just got to say, I love pop-ups. So I'm going to try to bring pop-ups to you as often as I can. You're going to hear some noise in the background. That's my son Terry. He's playing with trains. I'm going to try to do this video in 15-minute increments because my computer gets very mad at me if I make a video over 15 minutes. And frankly, when I'm watching YouTube, I get ticked off at videos that are over 15 minutes, short attention span. So enjoy. I will have step-by-step directions, or more or less step-by-step directions, on my website. Once I get my website up and going, when it's up, I'll put the link down in the description. Enjoy, tell your friends, have fun. Here's a smaller version of the card we're going to make. And a lot of the stuff you see is going to be upside down. So like this card is upside down to me because it's right side up to you, because I haven't figured out how to make my camera work for me. So the reason why I made the card with the hunter in the corner and the dog is because my friend specifically asked me if I could make one, and I said, yeah. So if I hadn't had a specific request from a friend, I would have used all Stampin' Up! Stuff. So anyway, now you know why I did this. So first thing we're going to do is, I've got 2 black sheets of paper, and we are going to cut this. So it's going to be 5x7. So the card's going to be 5 inches tall, 7 inches wide. So we're going to cut 2 pieces so that they're 5 inches tall. And we don't get rid of our scraps because there's always something we can use them for. And now we got to think about this here. So we need 7 inches of card, plus we need 1 inch or so on each side so that we can make it 3D. Plus we need about 1/4 inch of a tag so that we can assemble it. Wide. So we're going to do 7 inches plus 1 inch. So that's going to take us to 8 inches, plus 1/4 inch is going to take us to 8 1/4 inches. And my camera focuses in and out. I can't make it stop doing it. I record legal videos too. I'm a family law attorney, and it focuses in and out on those too, and I hate it. Okay, so we've got 8 and a quarter. Whack that off. I'm going to set the paper cutter aside for right now. And we're going to grab our little scoring device. So you'll see that a lot of the stuff I have here is not Stampin' Up. It's because I started doing pop-up cards before I became a Stampin' Up demonstrator. So I have a lot of stuff that's not Stampin' Up, but of course Stampin' Up has versions of all of this. You can see that my little scoring tool is not wide enough for this sheet of paper. That's okay, because we know what we wanted to do. So ordinarily I would score over here, but no, I already told you that I want 1/4 of an inch as a little tab. So what I did is I scored here at the 1/4 of an inch, and then I want it to be 1 inch thick. So I'm going to score here at 1 1/4 inches. Now I'm going to move this one aside, and I'm going to do the same thing to this sheet of paper. Score here at 1/4 of an inch, and then score here at 1 1/4 inches. And this is not a bone folder, although I have a bone folder. So if I call it a bone folder, you know what I'm talking about. Use your bone folder. We're going to, I need to make sure that I have good score lines there. Okay, I'm going to set the score aside. Now we're going to work those folds, and we're going to use our bone folder to get a nice crease. And we're going to do that for both of these, both sides. What, baby? I'm making a video showing people how to do a pop-up card. Okay, so what we're going to do is this little 1/4 inch flap. We're going to just cut off a little triangle on each. And it's not real critical if you don't do that. But if you do much in the way of pop-ups, then you'll notice that a lot of these pieces that you section together, the flaps that you're gluing to the other pieces usually have those little notches. So basically, I say so a lot, sorry. The way this is going to fit together is more or less like this. But we need to make a window in this piece. Now there are a couple ways you can do this. If you have nesting dies that will fit nicely in here, then you can cut this out with a nesting die. If you don't have nesting dies that'll work, then you can just measure and draw out and use an X-Acto knife. And I'm sure you have other creative ways of doing this. I'm not going to show you me running things through the die cutter. It's a Big Shot Plus. There are plenty of videos on YouTube that will show you how to use die cutters, so you can go find one of those. My rectangular nesting dies from Stampin' Up haven't arrived yet, so I'm using a Spellbinders die, and this is their A2 matting card set. I think I said that wrong. Anyway, I actually ordered one for A7 cards as well, and it hasn't showed up either. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to cut out this window with this die, and then I'm going to probably end up cutting out this section by hand. So I've got this sitting on the magnetic base, but because I've already scored the card, it doesn't sit real well. I mean, the magnet's not doing its job. So I'm going to tape this down with some tape. You can use washi tape. I'm using the removable Scotch tape. something we used when I worked in the blueprint shop and I did graphic design. I don't like to use my blue masking tape on this because I find that it has tendency to tear my paper after I've sent it through the die cutter. Just sent this through the die cutter. I'm going to untape this. See how well this strategy works for me. You might see a fail on camera. Going to set this aside. And I cut from the outside, you know, the part of the card that's going to be on the outside is what I set the die on. And I did that because I really like that little beveled edge. Oh, I think this might work real well. Okay, so I removed the piece that I cut out, and I'm eyeballing this. If you're not the eyeball type, well then measure. Anyway, to make sure that you get all of your borders even, but I'm eyeballing it. So I set the die right back in that little open window, and it fit really well in there. So I'm going to roll with this. Again, you might see a failure on camera. So move the die over a little bit. I'm going to have a little bit of a border on this side. That piece of tape is starting to look yucky, and I think that I actually want to move the die over just a little bit more. Yeah, you can have that and play with it. My son is 3. He really likes to play with tape. Okie dokie. I'm going to send this through the machine. Getting some glare from my lights here. Sorry about that, but there's not a whole lot I can do. This is a reflective surface. So this just came out of the machine, and let's see how well that worked. Ooh, I'm happy with those results. So I'm going to go cut another one of these so that I can show you another variation of this using Stampin' Up dies and stamps for my elements inside the card. And when I come back, I will show you how to assemble these. We've cut out both sides. We've got our front, we've got our back. The front of this window has a nice little bevel on it, so that's going to face outward. And you can either use double-sided tape on this, or you can use glue to stick this together. I'm going to use glue because I find that it works a little bit better for me. I'm just going to use plain old Elmer's school glue. I like to put it into this little watercolor palette, and I put it on with a paintbrush. And I like to make sure that I have a little towel handy to wipe up messes too. So I'm going to just paint the glue on this little flap here. And I'm going to try to work fast so that it doesn't start to dry. You know, we don't want a really thick coat. That would leave a mess. We don't want it too thin because that wouldn't work either. So we've just glued that. We're going to fold it over, and we're going to stick it right on top of the very edge of the back of this card. And we could put a weight on it. We could do all sorts of things to get it to set, but I'm going to put some paper clips on it. Sometimes I have to re-glue because I didn't do a very good job the first time. So be aware of that. The reason why I use glue on this and not double-sided tape is because I've yet to find double-sided tape that I actually think does a good job. So now that that side is paper clipped, we're going to put glue on this little flap here. I don't know how well you can see that. Okay, that little 1/4-inch flap. You'll see it better as I paint the glue on. Now, if we're not careful with this, we'll end up with a mess that ends up gluing our card together, and we definitely don't want that. So that's one of the advantages of using double-sided tape, is you're less likely to accidentally glue your card together. So we can lay that flat, bend that over, stick these two edges together, and obviously the more we fumble, the more likely we are to end up gluing our card together in places that we didn't want to glue our card together. So, putting paper clips on that. Work for me. That is not going to fit into an A7 envelope. But guess what? It'll fit into an A8 envelope. So disregard what I said before about making this fit into an A7 envelope. It's going to fit into an A8 envelope, which is 5.5 by 8.25. So we're going to set this aside, let it set. I am doing 2 cards at once, so I'm going to go off camera and stick my other card together. I glued together my other card, and this is set for a couple minutes, so we're going to take the paper clips off, or if you used weights, you can take the weight off, and we're going to hope that we didn't glue our card together in the wrong spots. Hey, look, I did. Fortunately, I'm able to peel it back up. So we're going to bend this both ways. If we did this right, the card is going to lay flat and open up perfectly in both directions. I usually manage to screw it up slightly, as I did here. And you can see I've got a little bit of glue on my card. That kind of bites, because I obviously didn't want that. But now we've got a little shadow box. And it's nice to glue the inside of the shadow box in before we put the whole shadow box together. I do it both ways. That's not how I did it this time, as you can see. So, oh well, I'm gonna pull apart the second one I did, and then we'll move on.